Hi, I'm Sally, the host of the Leadership Cafe podcast, and I'm really excited about this episode. Maira, who I've known for several years, is an executive coach and a consultant to help people really dial in that one unique, powerful, brilliant offer that they have. And it's not by going through the same series of steps to do this, say this, whatever, but it really is more from a place of discovering what truly lights you up and what truly is the thing that you will show up for with passion, with enthusiasm, and with energy that people will find hard to resist. The lesson's interesting, a little bit woo, and a lot of bit about heart and leading your own way in business and in leadership. I think you'll enjoy it. Thanks for joining us. I'm excited to be here with Maira. She's a friend of mine I met through a coaching group as a new entrepreneur, new-ish entrepreneurs together.
Mm-hmm.
And we are excited to dive in today. Maira's really got some amazing insights on, not losing who you are and not walking away from the truth of your brand. So welcome. I'm glad you're here today.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you, Sally, for having me. It's always nice to be able to talk to you about this.
Yeah, we always jam on the same kind of aligned thinking. Maira, tell us a little about what you're up to these days about your business, and we'll start there first.
Yeah, so my business has evolved. I started freelancing in 2017, left corporate. A lot of the story that I'm about to share with you is not foreign. People get burned out being in a corporate for too long, and they see that things don't align, talking about being true to yourself. I read somewhere that in your 40s, I think people start to question their identity. They start to see how things that they've done in the past or how they've been in the environment that they've put up with has not been quite who they are. And that's just systematically been programmed somehow. And we don't wake up until something happens. Like in 2021 is when there was a very tragic medical emergency that happened in my family. And it started making me question the way I run my business. Am I operating as an employee or am I operating as my true self? I had to pause, take a break from social media even, and took a whole year just to kind of reflect on my journey. Just pause everything. Do the minimum that I need to do. Keep the lights on, pay the bills, that kind of thing, right? But I really stepped away from this busy type of entrepreneurial work that we do, like churning content, creating social media, that kind of stuff. It just doesn't allow us to sit back and kind of pull back the curtain and seeing how are the threads connecting to who you are.
That's interesting.
Yes.
If someone is in a role already or in the middle, how do they get started on that? Walk us through what your journey looked like, maybe. What did you unpack, or were there key lessons that you learned or things you wanted to keep or change?
If I go back to my role, I honestly will tell you that the awareness wasn't there. It's not until I call them the turning points in your life. There are trigger points, turning points in your life, major life events that happen. And if you look back in your life history and experiences that you've had, those are trying to tell you something. Most people do not take the time to connect the dots in the past, how they have occurred and why they have occurred. It's just kind of like an autopilot. It's passing, right? It moves until it no longer serves you. So for me, it was getting a call all of a sudden from my husband that morning. I remember telling my boss, packed up my stuff, and I said, I gotta go. I have to go home now. And that was the day when we fired our nanny. And I had two little boys, twins. Overnight, we lost childcare. So I had to make a decision, a very difficult decision, whether I was going to keep continuing my 9 to 5 or whether I was going to be a mom that was going to be present for those developing years, the most critical years of their childhood.
To your point earlier, it's such a easy trap to just fall in line and follow the cultural norm or the perceived expectation of us. And I think also women fall into that even more so because of the role that we play in the family and the childbearing years. And we got to work harder to get to our place in the workforce. So I think it's really brave to be able to pause and evaluate. And frankly, in my life, we've had several of those defining moments, as you say, and they have led to some very big, seemingly crazy to the outside world choices where we just and made the choice that was right for our family with young children and for our own physical, mental, spiritual health. There's all kinds of feels and opinions about that from
Oh, sure. Yeah. 100%.
that paralyzes people from making those choices.
I've had, lots of opinions because we had to sell our house, which was a beautiful home, by the way. And my kids, somehow they were only 2 or 3 years old, but they somehow remember the floors. Somehow they remember the climbing up the stairs. And they still talk about it. Like, remember we in the blue house? They call it the blue house. And we sold the blue house, which was almost 2,500 square feet. We moved to 1,000 square feet, a 2-bedroom apartment, which is crazy. If you think we downgraded, most people would upgrade and most people would go bigger. But we did the opposite. And only because I was like, there's no point in keeping this huge house, a fat mortgage. And I was just up and running with my business, didn't know what the hell I was doing. You know, just like any entrepreneur, right? Starts out.
Like every entrepreneur.
I'm sorry, I don't care who you are, but everyone starts out that way, okay? It's not until the later of the years that you look at someone and go, oh my gosh, they're so successful. Yeah, but you haven't seen the years before that. I think that was one of the most difficult turning point and defining moment of my life. It's almost ironic because unfortunately, you have to go through some events in your life that triggers you to do something different. I heard somewhere recently that change is good. Change is necessary. Change is extremely uncomfortable, but that's what's needed in order for you to see what could be possibly on the other side. We don't know yet.
Well, and I am a gardener, so I love the gardening. I love the yard. So nature, it models that exact truth that change required for growth. The fall, all those leaves fall, that tree goes into hibernation. And protection to keep the core alive, and then spring comes. I live in New Mexico currently, and there are trees that look like they should just be cut down. They're dead. They look really bad, and they get new growth really late into the spring. And so if we aren't patient enough with the season of change and growth, down all of this beautiful growth that comes that you never know is there if you just look on the change hard part.
Speaking about patience, I think that's one of the ingredient that we lack as entrepreneurs. And I will say firsthand that there's peaks and valleys in your journey. Not every month is going to be a soaring month. And then you have seasonal, right? The season that I'm in right now is, okay, this is all the seeds that I've planted. How do I nurture them? How do I harvest? How do I grow them? And then summer comes. I run pretty much a seasonal business, to be honest, because it's not sustainable for me otherwise. I can't be on the go all year, 365 days a year. And this summer, I'm already thinking, what am I going to do? I know that I have to be more present with the family. given that we do more things during summer. You mentioned earlier about staying true to ourselves. How do we align ourselves and things like that? Imagine if I ran my business, the people who are constantly telling you visibility is absolutely needed. You have to show up every single day, post every single day, do 24 things, market the heck out of everything. And I'm not saying that those are not important, but I cannot do it at the level they do. I have different priorities.
So how do you keep that balance? Because I feel like it also applies to small and solo marketers who are the only person in the whole organization balancing marketing and giving and community and all that for their nonprofit or their rural health. I feel like that reality is not foreign for many of our listeners, but how do you decide what gets your attention and what doesn't?
I think this is where, Sally, you and I probably align a lot. We talk about what is getting crystal clear and focused on your vision. And when we start businesses and things like that, look, no one has a 14-page business plan of how this is going to all go. You can do that, but things change. You start to see, oh my God, that's not the type of people I want to work with, or these are not the type of services I do. I will say that from my experience that I stopped doing 20 different things.
So like you've narrowed your offers?
I narrowed my focus. I had to get super stingy on where my focus was worth diverting. Because there are things that it's going to pull you in 18 different directions. If you think about it, like in a marketing world, there's so many tactical things you can do to bring more clients or to grow your revenue. It's endless. You can spend the next 18 months trying to chase those tactics, shiny things that comes your way. Or you can dial in. Like for me, I'm trying to have more conversations, more meaningful conversations with people that I can relate to or align with, or they have audiences that I share with. I know people talk about vision a lot, and I see even people doing vision exercises and things like that. But it's really understanding what you're truly building here. What can stand without you being required in the room? And that takes refining of and figuring out not just your message, but like I talk about offers a lot. I'm not talking about just create a irresistible offer and a landing page and put a price ticket and just sell it. I'm talking about an offer that is aligned with the business model that's going to sustain you for a long period of time.
Is there something or some path to help people narrow? Because I feel the hardest thing is to be simple. And we talk a lot with our clients about quit trying to do more with less. And I truly believe that in today's world of AI slop, which is really just a rebranded version of vanilla, everybody's got a new version of vanilla. I feel like the way that your brand will stand out and the way that your story will resonate as a brand or as a marketer or as an individual, consultant, whatever, is really identifying what is the ethos of what I'm doing and the purpose for it. And that's some of the hardest work to do. Even as marketers, it's very to narrow
Yes.
and simplify. So do you have any tips or thoughts?
Yeah, I love this question, and it's something that I can talk about it without any prep. And I say this too, like, what is something you can talk about without any preparation? It's something that I've been working on in the last 3 years with my clients, talking about writing their origin story and pulling out the red thread of their story. And then red thread is like the through line of exist, that it's all, that it's who you are, the essence of your being. If everything got stripped away, your business went away, your social media followers went away, what is left, right? And it's the fire that exists within you that you can ignite it if you wanted to. But most people can't hold on to it only because they have so much, not just doubt within themselves, but there's so much noise in the external world that you can't quite internalize and you can't just go deep in it to just fully be. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's the through line. It's the red thread that connects to all your major turning events and defining moments of your life. And I have a process for that. I will sit there and I will listen to my clients and they spit out the words that they don't even know that they've said it. And that's the ironic part, right? Like there are things that we say and hear, but we don't always hear ourselves what we're saying. You need other people to reflect on that.
What is an example? Can you give us your red thread or maybe a client red thread that stood out just to kind of really make it visible to people who are new to this idea?
So the red thread is basically like we have 5 scenes, and the 5 scenes are your early childhood, your adulthood. Maybe it's when you were a teenager or something, and then you have childhood memories, you have major events that has happened throughout your life. And these are stories. You're just dumping, I just make them dump, basically. And they write paragraphs after paragraphs, and I start to see the patterns that they've always been operating within those, even since childhood. For example, a current client of mine who's a videographer and have been chasing different type of gigs, like going after real estate, going after nonprofit, going after all those things. But deep down, he had always a deep desire to just teach, being an educator. He's always done that. That was his through line that he didn't notice. So we talked about, like, why aren't we talking to the people who are creatives already, and storytelling is something that you've always done, right? But your focus has been here and there, and it's scattered. So no wonder the outside world is like, okay, so I can probably hire you for this, this, and this. And that's becomes part of how we start to spread ourselves so thin, because we try to be too much to too many when we should try to be little for the right person. And that's a lot for that one specific person.
And you and I have chatted about this before, is that I believe that there's a fear of losing.
Oh, 100%. Yes.
Fear of missing out.
Mm-hmm.
We see it at the business level, but also at the personal level, where if we narrow too much, then we're going to miss out this audience or whatever. From just a pure marketing standpoint,
Yeah.
you'll have more efficient spend if you narrow, if you're focusing on a target audience. But we've chatted about that kind of fear of losing something or missing out that really kind of is a little sneaky underneath
Yeah.
to this inability to narrow. Have you seen that in your work?
I don't like the word niching or narrowing down. I think of it as like it's a container. You have a plant that it's a container. And the container, it's designed in such a way that it can hold the growth as the plant grows. But what does most people do? They stay in that same container, but they never expand. They're not able to expand the container as the plant grows, right? So you got to find that a container that is expandable, that is scalable.
So you're going the other way, not narrow niche, you're expanding.
I'm expanding, and I'm starting with an expensive, nagging problem that keeps showing up in your life. And you just can't seem to shut off. Like it follows you everywhere. But we don't pay attention because we're too busy chasing these other things and thinking that's what's going to start making us money. Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. There are times that I've had months where I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work. What if no one believes me?
Yeah.
Right?
If you're honest, I think we've all had that. Me, just 2 weeks ago.
I am like, this is not going to make money. This sounds too woo-woo shit. Like, no one's going to pay for that, right? But at the very same time, when I look at my clients, their results and how they come even after 3 years, 5 years, saying that like, this thing is still working. What did we just build? This is still working. I can still talk about it with energy. And your energy doesn't lie. It doesn't matter who you're talking to. Your clients can feel it. The people around you can feel it. And if you don't bring that level of energy and passion to the offer that you're offering, of course it's going to feel like it's draining. It's not quite connected to your through line. And that's something that I keep harnessing on. I keep working on until we find it. I hope I'm the last person you come to for offer excavation. I don't say creation, excavation. It's a digging process. Yeah.
That's cool. I love that. So how have you seen once they can excavate and find their red thread and that passion? Just describe or tell us an example maybe of how does that impact their business then? How does that impact their work, their life, whatever? Is there any case study that comes to mind from your clients?
Yeah. So I just met a client last Friday and I didn't even know what I was building at the time, right? I was just sort of like, okay, let me try something different, something else. I remember building her first signature product, which she wanted to target very specific type of people. I wrote the sales page, I designed it, we put it out. This was 5 years ago. And you know what she said to me? She's like, I still run it and I don't have to keep chasing people because they know that I am the go-to person for this problem. And it is so darn specific. But in order for us to get there, I have to understand your story. I have to know where you came from. What did you do for the last 10 years? I am literally sitting there and like an archaeologist and digging everything in the past. And now somebody might listen to this like, why are you listening to the past? Past is past. But the past informs the future.
That
Oh,
is how we make decisions, even neurologically. We talk
yes.
in science. It's estimated that we get 11 million inputs per second.
Yes.
The brain could not possibly compute all of that.
Right.
And so our brain is constantly sorting and finding things that are relevant, touch something emotionally, that our patterns of decisions to this point have shown is important to us. And that's kind of how simply the brain sorts information. And that's why story's so powerful. And until we've hit an emotion and caught attention, people aren't going to remember. But that's why knowing our story is so powerful and just goes neurologically into how we were designed to operate in this world, is knowing that story. So the past is not just something in the past. It actually has laid a foundation for how we operate and decide today. Doesn't mean that's how it has to always be. We can change, but to your point, it informs who we are and how we see and operate in the world. And that's a very big deal.
And sometimes you forget. You need to be reminded. I told this current client of mine, look, we're not doing something brand new here. Basically, you came to me for permission. You're confirming.
Yeah.
You're just confirming the path that, is this the right path you're on? And does this feel good and align with who I am? That's it. That's what you paid me for. But now the job is not just to recognize that, but how do you stay put? How do you stay consistent with that? Yeah. That's going to be the challenge.
Do you help the clients stay consistent to that? So now they've kind of found their self, if you will.
Yeah. So we create a structure, obviously. We identify what is their method to madness, their IP and framework and whatnot. And of course, that needs to be tested in the market, right? Needs to be tweaked as they get responses and as they get feedback from their clients. But the idea is that you keep doing this until you made a name for yourself. And All these people that we put on the altar and we respect them so much with all these thought leaders, Simon Sinek and all those people, right? If you reverse engineer their story and how they got started, Tim Ferriss, 4 Hour Work Week, all those people, they all started with their origin stories. So I was just like, wait a minute, I'm just seeing a pattern here. Brene Brown and all those people that were folks that we just admire so much. And I'm not saying that they are not admirable. Of course they are, because the way they present and show up in the world. But if you look at their pattern and the stories, why they led to what they can keep talking about that same darn thing for over and over and over, that's because their through line connects to their stories.
That's so good. I presented at a conference recently, and one of the stories that I tell in that presentation is when I met a chief marketing officer from Procter & Gamble. Huge, enormous organization, obviously. And he was over a dog food division. So one little product of a ginormous organization. And I'll never forget, he said to me, we're not going out to try to get 80% market share. If we got 1% of the market for dog food, it would be worth X billions of dollars a year. And that simple little thing stood with me all these years later, because I feel like we misidentify success as,
oh my goodness,
enormous thing.
Yeah.
And the truth is there's enough for everybody. But who we're for is the 1%. And we get afraid and try to market to 80%. And I feel like that what you're sharing is just so vital, whether we're seeking to start our Substack page and have a unique point of view. Maybe it's that simple. We get afraid.
I have an answer for that. And I'll tell you why that happens, why we're afraid. So it leads to my red thread, actually. It took me a long time to figure this out. I'm going to turn 46 this month. And I hope it doesn't take you who's listening to this 46 years to figure this out. Some people, it maybe, I don't know, takes 70, 80, 100, right? But here's the thing. It goes back to my childhood, which is always seeking belonging and acceptance. We're so afraid of rejection in the society. We're so afraid of being not accepted that we will do anything to be accepted. But the flip side of this, when you do let go of that fear and do it finally, guess what happens? There are a whole stream of people that you had no idea that things like you and start to color outside of the lines, and they're weird and quirky and they're just as much fun to be hanging out with. And that's the part that holds people back, because we've been conditioned for so long to be not accepting ourselves. If you did this, we will not accept you. Right. So you better be listening to us.
That's powerful, because I feel like I said something to my sister 2 days ago. I said, we waste so much time, things that were never meant for us. Whether
oh my gosh, yeah.
This post on social media, and now I'm all dusted up about it, but it wasn't ever intended for me. And I think that that's the freedom that comes from a revelation of what is your core ethos, your red thread, as you put it, is knowing what's for you, but even more freedom comes from knowing what's not for you. I'm not going to go after cat food owners.
Right.
I'm for this little sliver of dog owners. And finding your way to that place where you belong because of who you are and all that you are, and not because you contorted yourself into something that doesn't really fit there, if that makes sense. So I think there's just so much power in, personally, but also from a business standpoint, in, this is what lights me up. I've always wanted to be an educator. So I'm going to quit trying to sell $30 videos for packaged goods.
Correct.
I think it's
Right.
really powerful.
Yeah. And with that, I will be upfront that it takes my clients, sometimes it doesn't click with them until maybe 2 or 3 years later. Oh, shit. Like, this is what alignment feels like. And there is a commitment that it requires of me to stay aligned and true to myself.
And it's scary because even our agency, we renamed and rebranded in January of 26.
Mm-hmm.
We're starting from scratch in the algorithm,
Sure.
SEO. Nobody's heard of us. We've narrowed down to the things that just light us up, which is nonprofit and rural health. And we're not taking other business. And that has had a significant financial adjustment for us for now.
Sure.
But we just for the first time in the wild at a conference, our new brand, and person after person, almost every competitor in the exhibit hall came by to say, I love your brand. It stands out. Of every single booth here, I had some gal won the PR person of the year at this conference.
Now, let me ask you this. Why did you choose rural nonprofit? Why not all the other nonprofits in the world, but why did you choose that?
Because my red thread has always been helping other humans and helping ease suffering or serving or giving or whatever. And that is exactly who we're helping help others too. Our whole team has lived and worked in nonprofit. And so we're wired to be empathetic and compassionate and help make a difference in the world. We've had people come to us going, oh, this great barbecue robot. I'm like, not it. I'm sure your barbecue robot is amazing, but I could give 2 F's about a barbecue robot. It's like, no, I don't have it to give. There's zero passion for packaged goods per se. So that's how we've sorted.
And that's what I mean.
A lot of trial and error.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, if I go back to your childhood, I bet you I will be able to find exactly why you do what you do. What led you to come here today?
Yeah.
And it's not a mistake. It's just the question is, can you stay consistent even when there are bad months? And people are not going to tell you, like, maybe you should just call it a quits and do something that it's actually going to pay you more.
Oh, for sure. I get that all the time. People are like, why? Nonprofit or rural health, there's no money there. And I'm like, there's money where it matters. And this is what is our purpose. And so there were equal parts of just praise for our rebrand, which was so great. Digital companies going, your website is amazing. And I'm like, we did that. This PR gal thing with the one piece of collateral. And she goes, this is my favorite thing in the entire attendee bag, our flyer. I'm like, okay, so it's just confirmation after confirmation.
And what else do you need, right? Yeah.
A lot of people who were like, oh my gosh, nobody does just rural health. I have a whole list of people. I'm sending you a list that need your help.
I don't know that many either. And that's what I call it's a rare genius. Genius is rare, but you don't realize it until you accept the fact that it is not something you just see everyone doing it. Otherwise, everybody would be pursuing passive income courses, selling digital, and be LinkedIn coaches.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's not what we're doing.
I love this combo. We could go on forever.
I know.
Key takeaway that you want folks to, what's their first next step on this journey to really finding that true center for themselves? And then also, please tell us where we can connect.
Yeah.
Where folks could or reach out if they have more questions.
I have 2 things. If they are really curious to find their red thread, I actually created a workbook for the red thread where they can take a quiz and they will get it. They will get the workbook. Now, there's something that I'm working on is also explaining through the video how to do the exercise. What I would prefer is real life excavation happening real time. And that's something that I don't know if I can show it just explaining through my video. It's one of those things that, have you ever watched, I don't know, a flower bloom right in front of you, or a animal giving birth right in front of you? Like, it's just like, whoa, what did you just see happening? It's happening in real time moment, right? For me, it's like that. It's like almost like birthing. You don't really get the experience until someone's there to ask you the questions. But they can at least download it and see how I've constructed the defining moments. That's been my 3 years worth of putting in the work with the clients that I work with very intimately, one-on-one. And just check it out for yourself and see what happens. Yeah.
Where do they find it?
It's right on my featured section on my LinkedIn.
The link in the show notes and to
Yeah.
Myra's LinkedIn so you can find her. Check out the workbook and watch for the videos to come if you're interested. But Myra, thanks for being with us today. We appreciate it. I love your authentic, kind of connected way that's going to inspire people to live fully.
Thank you so much. I hope so. I'm trying to be more on these type of things where I'm actually having conversation with people rather than just like, hey, download this thing. And I feel like people need to hear your voice. People need to see who you are with all the AI's crap that's going on. This is what we have left. So let's just do more of that.
And,
Yeah.
I'm going to be 60 this week. So,
we share the same birthday month. Okay, so now you know why we're so connected.
60 years in, that the biggest freedom and the most joy and the most peace have come from really tuning into who am I, what matters to me, and following that path. And
that's it.
with the road less traveled, which is the right one for me. And that truly, you drive yourself nuts until you get there. So, don't take 6 years to do it.
No, there's better ways. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us again.
My pleasure.
And you like what you hear, please give it a little like or share it. And all of Myra's links are in the show notes. So look her up and follow along for some more great insights.
Thank you.